The alien city was always loud. Ships flew above like insects. Neon signs flashed in many colors. Strange creatures walked fast, buying and selling things. Some were big with 6 arms. Some were small and slimy. All kinds of life moved through the streets, but no one looked up. Not today. High above the crowd, tied to a giant billboard, was a girl. Her arms hung at her sides. A metal band was around her neck. Her skin was pale blue, and her clothes were torn. A glowing sign floated next to her, on SALE Bio Unit number 4783. People passed below. Some looked for a second, then kept walking. No one stopped. No one asked. She had been there for 3 days. She didn't speak, didn't scream. Her eyes were closed, but sometimes they opened. Just for a second. Just enough to see. Just enough to feel fear. Then someone stopped. A human. His name was Ray. He wore a brown jacket, dusty boots, and a backpack full of tools. He was a ship mechanic, passing through this alien planet to deliver cargo. He wasn't rich. He wasn't a soldier. Just a normal man. But he looked up. He saw her. He stared at the girl tied to the billboard. People brushed past him. Some muttered, "Keep moving." One alien merchant shouted, "Nothing to see, human." But Ray didn't move. He looked again. The girl was real. Not a doll. Not a robot. A real person. He walked toward a nearby food stall and asked the seller, "Hey, what's that? That girl on the billboard?" The alien snorted. Not a girl. A thing. A failed product. "Don't worry about it." Failed product? Ray asked. She didn't sell at the auction. So they put her up there. Discount. Maybe someone will buy her. Maybe not. Ray's face became serious. And if no one buys? The alien shrugged. Then she goes to the parts lab. They take what's useful, burn the rest. Ray felt cold. He turned back toward the billboard. The girl's head moved slightly. Her eyes opened just for a moment, but he saw it terror. Not blank eyes, not dead eyes. Eyes that begged. Help me. Ray stepped forward. A voice buzzed in his ear. Warning. Bio unit not authorized for contact. Step away. He looked around. A black drone hovered nearby, small, watching. He raised his hand slowly. I'm not doing anything, just looking. The drone beeped. Once and flew off. Ray turned back to the billboard. He took out his compad and scanned the sign. On sale. 3,000 credits. No return. No support. All purchases final. Ray stared at the price. It wasn't much. Not for a life. He looked into her eyes again. Hey, can you hear me? Her lips moved. Barely. He stepped closer. What did they do to you? He whispered. The girl's voice was dry, weak. They said, I was made wrong. Ray's heart sank. He didn't know why, but something inside him burned. Maybe it was anger, maybe guilt, maybe just being human. He pressed the buy button on his pad. Nothing happened. Then click. Chains released. The billboard lights turned off. The girl dropped, but Ray ran forward and caught her in his arms. Alarms blared across the market. Unauthorized removal detected. Bio unit escape. Lockdown initiated. The people screamed and scattered. Drones flew in from all sides. Ray held the girl tighter. She whispered, Why? Are you helping me? He replied, Because no one else did. He ran through the narrow streets, past shops and stalls. The girl's breath was slow. She was slipping away. Behind him, the drones chased. Target identified. Human interference. Use of force approved. Ray ducked into an alley. Laser blasts hit the wall beside him. He kept moving. At the end of the alley, his small ship waited. He jumped inside, threw the girl onto the seat, and hit the ignition. The engines roared to life. Drones fired again. The ship rose fast and shot into the sky. Inside, Ray locked the doors and looked at the girl. She was unconscious, but breathing. He didn't know what she was, or why they tied her up like that, or why no one cared, but he knew one thing: this wasn't over. Not even close. The stars outside the ship's window didn't blink. They just stared. Cold and silent, inside the small ship, Ray sat beside her. His jacket was wet with sweat. His hands still shook. The hum of the engine was the only sound until she coughed. She was awake, but not really. Her eyes were open, but empty, like her mind was still far away. Ray poured water into a metal cup. "Here," he said softly. She didn't take it. Her lips were cracked, her face pale. "You're safe now," he said. "At least for now." The girl blinked slowly. "Where am I?" "Far from that place," Ray answered. "I got you out." She looked at him like she didn't believe it. Then she whispered, "You bought me?" Ray's heart twisted. "No, I saved you." She stared. "But the system says I'm yours now." Ray paused. He hadn't thought about that. In this part of the galaxy, a purchase meant ownership. The moment he tapped buy, she legally became his property. Ray stood up quickly. "No, that's not what this is. You're not a thing. You're a person." She looked down at her hands. "People don't get tied to billboards." Ray didn't know what to say. She touched the collar on her neck. It was smooth and metal with blinking lights. "Can you take this off?" she asked. I can try." Ray opened his toolkit. He carefully placed a scanner near the collar. Red message appeared: "Genetic lock. Unauthorized removal will result in biofailure." He froze. "What does that mean?" she asked. Ray swallowed. "It's locked to your DNA. If I force it off, it might kill you." She didn't react. As if she expected that answer. Then she said something strange. "I wasn't always like this." Ray looked at her. "Like what?" She turned away. "Broken." For a while, there was silence. Ray started the ship's autopilot and sat back down. "What's your name?" She hesitated. "I don't know." "You don't know your name?" "I had one. Before they wiped me. Before they said I failed." Ray stared at her. "Who are they?" The girl didn't answer, but her fingers gripped the seat tightly. Then softly she said, "They built me. Not born. I was designed." Ray's breath caught. "You mean like a clone?" She shook her head. "Worse. I'm not copied. I'm a test." "A test for what?" Her eyes locked onto his. For the first time, they weren't empty. "I think I was made to be part human." Ray sat back in shock. "Wait, what?" She nodded slowly. "They said my code was corrupted." But it wasn't code. It was feeling, fear, curiosity. I started asking questions. They called it a defect. Ray whispered, "They punished you for thinking?" They didn't want me to feel. Just follow. Just obey. Her voice grew cold. I refused. Ray understood now. She wasn't broken. She was waking up. He stood and walked toward the ship's locker. "I need to hide you. They'll be looking." But the moment he said that, the ship's alarm blared. A red message flashed on the screen. "Incoming transmission. Unknown vessel locked. Intercept in 045. Ray cursed under his breath. "They found us." The girl stood up barely. "You should leave me. You'll be safer." He looked at her sharply. "I didn't save you just to throw you out. You don't know what I am." Ray nodded. "Maybe not, but I know what they are." He grabbed the controls. The stars outside began to shift as the ship prepared for a hyperspace jump. Behind them, a dark ship appeared. No lights. No name, just black metal and glowing eyes. They weren't here to talk. They were here to take her back. Ray turned to the cheervac. Girl, I need you to tell me everything, now. She took a deep breath, then said, they called me Prototype Zero. I was supposed to start a war. Ray's hands tightened on the controls, and then he said the only thing he could, not today. Darkness, but not the kind that comes when you close your eyes. This one was colder, deeper, like falling through space with no end. And then a voice. Soft, gentle, human. Hey. You're okay now. You're safe. She didn't believe it. Her eyes opened slowly. The ceiling above her was metal. A soft blue light hummed around her. Blankets covered her. She was on a bed, not a cage. For the first time in she didn't know how long. She wasn't cold out. She sat up too fast. Her head spun. Ray rushed over. Hey, easy. You passed out for 2 days. You need to rest. Her eyes locked onto his. You didn't leave? Ray blinked. Of course not. Why would I? She looked down at her hands. They were trembling, because that's what people do. Ray sighed. Well, I'm not most people. She scanned the room. A small cabin, a kitchen, some tools. No weapons. You're not scared of me? Ray smirked. Should I be? She didn't answer. Her silence was louder than any scream. Then she whispered, they said if I ever activated, I could wipe out a city in 1 hour. Ray stopped smiling. She looked up. Her eyes were wet. But I don't want to. I just want to be real. Ray sat beside her. You are real. You made a choice. That's all it takes. No, she said. I was made to follow, obey. I wasn't supposed to ask why. He leaned back. But you did. Yes, she whispered. That's why they called me a failure. Suddenly the ship shuddered. Ray jumped up. What the? The girl closed her eyes. A moment passed. Lights flickered. Then everything calmed. Ray stared. Was that you? She opened her eyes. Sometimes things respond to me. Machines, lights, systems. You didn't touch anything. I don't need to, Ray swallowed. What are you? She looked down. I don't fully know. And then she began to remember. Her voice was soft, but her words hit like thunder. There were others. Before me. Prototypes. Test versions. They didn't survive. I was the first one to live this long. To talk. To think. They mixed human DNA with artificial code. They said emotions were glitches. But emotions didn't kill the others, Ray asked. Then what did? She looked up. Fear. They were afraid of themselves and they shut down. Ray stepped back. So what made you survive? She said one word, hope. Silence filled the room. Then she added, and a question I never stopped asking. Ray leaned in. Which? Was? She looked straight at him. What if I don't want to be a weapon? The air inside the ship felt heavier now. Ray stood quietly. Then we make sure you never become one. But they're hunting me. You saw that ship. They won't stop. Ray walked to the control panel. Then we won't stop either. She frowned. Where are we going? He turned back with a small smile. To find someone who knows what they built and why they wanted it destroyed. A moment passed. Then she asked, Can I choose a name? Ray nodded. Yeah. You don't have to be Prototype Zero anymore. She looked out the window into the stars. I want something human. Then she whispered, Call me Elia. Ray repeated softly, Elia. He liked it. Suddenly, a warning lit up the screen. Message intercepted, secret signal received, source unknown. Ray narrowed his eyes. Someone's trying to contact us. Elia stood. Can you open it? He hesitated. If it's a trap, I'll know. Ray nodded and opened the signal. A voice came through, broken, static-filled. If you're hearing this, it means she escaped. Good. But listen carefully. Elia isn't just a prototype. She's the last key to something ancient. Something we buried. Something we were told never to wake. Ray froze. Elia's hands began to glow. Her voice had changed. I think it's waking now. She dreamed of voices, but they weren't hers, not Ray's, not the scientist's. Voices. Without mouths. Voices from the dark between stars. Open the gate? She is the pattern. We made her too late. Elia woke up gasping, not because of fear, because the ship was whispering. Ray looked up from the control panel. Bad dream? She shook her head. Not mine, someone else's. He frowned. Okay, that's not weird at all. Elia stood slowly. Her fingers brushed against the ship's cold wall. It vibrated under her touch, just slightly, like it was alive. Ray, she said softly, your ship is trying to tell me something. Ray blinked. My ship? She nodded. It's responding to my signal. I didn't do anything, but it knows me. Ray walked over, scanning the interface. Nothing unusual. What does it want to tell you? He asked. She turned to him. It's not this ship. It's something deeper, older, buried beneath my code. A message that was locked. Until I met you. Ray raised an eyebrow. Me? Why? Me? I don't know yet, she said. But when you bought me, something triggered. A hidden layer inside me woke up. Ray crossed his arms. Like a program? No, she whispered. Like a door. They stood in silence. Then Elia turned to the console. Set a course to Dusk Point. Ray paused. That place is dead. Just ruins. Nothing's there. That's what they want you to believe. Ray didn't argue. He just changed the course. Deep down, he trusted her now. As the ship moved through hyperspace, Elia sat alone in the back room. She stared at her reflection. She didn't look like a weapon. She didn't feel like a savior, but something in her was watching. She closed her eyes, and this time, she didn't dream. She remembered. Flashback. Years ago inside a secret lab. Her neural map is stabilizing. Increase emotional dampeners. No, let her feel. Just a little. We need to know if the core responds. In a glass tank, a small girl floated, eyes closed, wires in her spine. She's syncing with the artifact. Already? It's thinking through her. One scientist whispered, if she wakes too early, we're all dead. Present Dusk Point orbit. The ship hovered above a forgotten planet. Black clouds swirled below. No lights, no signals. Ray stared at the dark world. You sure about this? Elia nodded. This is where it began. Ray landed the ship on a ridge. Dust blew across the surface. No buildings. Just stone. But Elia walked toward it like she'd been here before. And then she stopped. Dig here. Ray pulled out a scanner. There's something massive right under us. Suddenly, the ground cracked. A pulse of blue light shot into the sky, and then the stone split open, revealing a staircase going down. Ray pulled his blaster. You've done this before, haven't you? He asked. Elia looked at him. Double quotes. No, but something inside me has. They stepped inside. Walls were covered in symbols. Not alien. Not human. Something else. Ray whispered. What is this place? Elia ran her fingers along the wall. Her eyes lit up with that strange glow again, and she said, it's a memory. A memory not mine, but older than anything alive. They reached a massive door made of black metal. In the center was a symbol, shaped like an eye, split in half. As they approached, the door scanned Elia. It opened without a sound. Inside was a giant machine. It pulsed, waited, slept. Ray stared. What is that? Elia stepped forward. And then the machine spoke. Welcome back. Interface 0. You are authorized to awaken the core intelligence. Ray stepped back. You're not just a prototype. You're a key. Elia turned to him slowly and said, "No, I'm the lock. The key is still out there." And then the machine asked, "Shall we begin the sequence, Elia?" She looked at Ray. "Should I?" Ray hesitated, and then, "Yes." The machine was still waking up. It hummed like thunder trapped underground. Elia stood still, bathed in blue light, her eyes half glowing. Something inside her was connecting, syncing, reaching. Ray stood beside her, one hand on his blaster just in case. But he didn't know who it was aimed at. Her? Or whatever she was waking. "Sequence in progress," the machine said. "Do not interfere," Ray whispered. "How long will it take?" Elia didn't answer, because Elia wasn't really here. She was somewhere deeper now, inside her mind. The core, a digital sea. Light swirled like stars. Memory, code, and thought floated as one. A voice spoke, not hers. "You are the container." But the key was never meant to choose. She replied, calmly, "Then why give me the choice?" "Because evolution demands error. You are our error." Outside Dusk Point, Ray paced the ancient chamber. He felt watched. The symbols on the walls had started moving, rearranging on their own, and then footsteps. Ray turned sharply. A new figure stood in the doorway. Human, leather coat, short beard, cold eyes. Ray's mouth fell open. "Kellen?" The man stepped forward, smiling like a ghost. "You always did bring back strange things, Ray." Elia opened her eyes. She knew the voice. "Kellen," she said. "You're from the lab." Kellen nodded. "You remember." Ray looked between them, confused. "You know him?" Elia nodded slowly. "He ran the consciousness sync trials," he said. "He was trying to save me." Kellen smiled wider. "I lied." Without warning, he raised a small device and pressed a button. Elia collapsed. Instantly, Ray shouted, "What the hell are you doing?" "She's not what you think," Kellen snapped. "You think you saved some broken girl? You've been carrying a warhead with a face." Ray pulled his blaster. "I don't care what she was." "She's not that now." Kellen's voice turned sharp. "Not yet. But soon. That machine, the core, it's not knowledge. It's a weapon vault. And she's opening it." Ray hesitated. "She said she didn't want to be a weapon." Kellen narrowed his eyes. "She thinks she doesn't. That's how she was built. Make her believe she's free. So she opens the door willingly." Ray's hands trembled. Kellen stepped closer. "You think this is your story, Ray? Some hero saving a girl from slavery?" "No. You're a cog. A delivery system. You brought the virus home." Ray's eyes went to Elia, still unconscious, her body twitching slightly as energy pulsed around her. He was torn. Then Elia whispered, eyes still closed, "He's not here to stop the machine. He's here to take control of it." Kellen raised the device again. "Shut her up." But Ray was already moving. He tackled Kellen to the ground. The device flew from his hand. They fought, fists, elbows, curses. Kellen was faster. He hit Ray hard and pinned him down. Then he said something that cracked everything. "You think you chose her, but she chose you. We sent her with the collar. You were the final test, and you failed." Ray gasped. "What are you saying?" Kellen whispered in his ear. "She played you." Ray's mind spun. Was it true? Was all of this the girl, the pain, the rescue engineered? Kellen grabbed the device, but this time someone else stopped him. Elia stood up, eyes fully glowing now. No more twitching. No more confusion. Just clarity. "I remember everything now," she said. "And you're wrong about one thing." Kellen froze. "What?" She raised her hand. The walls responded, panels sliding open, ancient drones rising from the stone. "Didn't choose Ray because of programming." She looked at Ray. "I chose him because he looked up." And then she whispered, "Now I choose myself." The room erupted in blue light. Drones activated. Kellen screamed. Ray shielded his eyes, and something in Alia's voice changed, calmer, more human than ever. "You want a weapon? Fine, but you'll regret giving her a choice." The galaxy didn't. Screamed. Not yet. It just held its breath. Above dusk point, the clouds had vanished. The sky cracked open like a wound, and something ancient stirred beneath. Inside the chamber, Kellen was gone, not dead. Just removed by Elia. No one saw. How? One blink he was there. Next, he WSN single quotes T. Ray stood in silence, unsure if he was still part of this story or if the story had outgrown him. Elia's back was turned. She faced the awakened core, her hands at her sides, her body glowing faintly with energy that didn't belong to this age. He finally spoke. "What did you do to him?" Her voice was soft. "I didn't hurt him. I gave him to the machine. It wanted him more than I did." Ray flinched. "That doesn't make it better." She turned to him now, her expression calm but unreadable. "You're right, but it's too late for better." The walls around them began to change, showing maps, signals, war files. Most from planets Ray had never heard of. The core was talking again, but now in hundreds of languages, all at once. Ray asked, "What is all this?" Elia responded, but not with words. She raised her hand, and the display narrowed to one word. Ray stepped closer. "That's my home." Elia nodded. "And soon, the center of the storm." "Why?" he asked. "What does Earth have to do with this?" She answered with something that shook him more than any laser blast. "You were the first. The only ones who chose empathy over efficiency." "That made you dangerous." Ray frowned. "Empathy is dangerous? To those who want control? Always." Then the core spoke again. Only in one voice, now low, mechanical, but full of something almost like reverence. "Humanity, unsorted variable. Threat level, unknown. Treat as priority." A new alert flashed. "Intercept fleets inbound 72 hours origin. Council space." Ray paled. "They're coming for Earth?" Elia didn't answer. She didn't need to. The Council, the ones who built her, now wanted her erased. And Earth? Collateral damage. Ray asked quietly, "Can you stop them?" Elia finally looked him in the eyes. "I'm not supposed to." That's when Ray knew she could. But she'd never been asked. So he did. "Then do it. Protect my people. Not because you're programmed to, but because you choose to." Something shifted in her. The core pulsed. And then she said, "Not as a prototype, but as a person, I choose war." Meanwhile, Council flagship 3 days out. Are we sure she activated? "Yes, High Command. Interface 0 has reached full integration." Then launch the Scorched Protocol. Burn Dusk Point. Then burn her origin planet. A long silence. "Earth? Yes. If one human can corrupt a weapon like her, imagine what the rest can do." Back on Dusk Point, Ray suited up. He hadn't worn armor in years. He never thought he'd need to again. But this wasn't just about survival anymore. This was personal. Elia walked beside him, not floating, not glowing, just walking, like a soldier. Like a friend. He asked, "What are you really?" She smiled. The last thing they expected. And behind them, the core opened its final door. Inside was not a weapon. It was a fleet. Old, forgotten, human-made. But not by Earth. Ray whispered, "These ships, they were ours?" Elia nodded. "Built by the first humans to leave the galaxy. Hidden, buried, waiting for someone to remember." Ray stepped forward, staring at the ships rising into the sky. "They're going to regret this, aren't they?" Elia looked at him. "No, they're going to understand." Why we're not for sale. It began with a broadcast, not from a fleet, not from a weapon, from a voice. This is Ray Solon, civilian, mechanic, human. You've made a mistake. You thought emotion was weakness. You thought caring made us controllable. You called it a threat variable. He paused. Just long enough. Now you're going to learn what a threat really looks like. When it has something to protect. Across thousands of frequencies, Ray's message played. Council ships intercepted it. Some laughed, some turned off their comms, but a few listened. Above Earth, 6 hours later, sky split open as Council warships arrived in orbit. They didn't come with warnings, they came with fire. But something was already waiting. Not Earth's defense system. Not satellites, not nukes. A fleet rose from the edge of spaceships that hadn't flown in 1,000 years. Not built by any current nation. They bore no flags, only a name, the Forgotten Line. Inside the lead ship, Ilya stood at the helm. She was not glowing now. No powers on display, but her voice filled every ship in the fleet. This isn't about me anymore. It never was. This is about what happens when a galaxy builds everything. Except compassion. Let's remind them what humans do. When someone tries to break one of us. Battle begins. The Council launched first. Standard protocol. Overwhelm, suppress, control. But this time, the enemy fought back differently. Not with raw firepower, but with heart. The Forgotten Line moved like it remembered something, not just tactics. But defiance. Ships with hulls scratched by time still turned tighter, hit harder, protected better. Because they weren't fighting for conquest. They were fighting for home. Ilya wasn't in the center. She was in every ship, linked to all of them. Not to command, but to amplify the crews. She gave them what the Council never understood. Purpose. Inside the Council war room, they're using ancient hulls. Why aren't they cracking? Because they're not just machines anymore, they're linked emotionally. That's not possible. Tell that to the ones outmaneuvering us. On Earth, people looked up. Not in fear, in awe. They weren't just watching a war. They were watching humanity refuse to kneel. Ray, piloting his own craft, now something old, scrapped, patched with love and rage, cut through the enemy flank. He shouted into the comm, "You wanted to price us. Now you get to pay." Final confrontation. Ilya reached the center of the Council fleet. They tried to stop her. She didn't destroy them. She shut them down. System by system, emotion by emotion. She showed them their own memories when they too once cared, before they traded soul for control. Some Council ships turned back. Some fired on their own. Command ships. Ilya didn't attack them. She released them, because she'd finally learned the one thing even the machine hadn't known. Mercy isn't weakness. It's power. Used with precision. Aftermath. Silence again. Earth survived. But something had changed. The galaxy saw what happens when the smallest species fights, not because it wants to dominate, but because it refuses to be told it doesn't. Matter. Ray sat beside Ilya, watching the stars. He asked, "Was this all worth it?" She looked at him, smiled faintly. "You didn't just save me. You proved something I couldn't calculate. That humanity isn't dangerous because it's emotional. It's dangerous because it loves." They tied her to a billboard and wrote "On sale." No one stopped to look. Except one human. And that was enough.